This is a program on deposition practice. And you might ask the question, why talk about depositions? The real action is in the courtroom. The most cynical view I've heard on that topic was a fellow who made the observation that he hoped he died during a deposition because that way the transition from life to death would be less noticeable. The truth of the matter is that depositions are of paramount importance in the litigation process. 95% of the cases, perhaps more, are disposed of in advance of trial. Some of those cases are disposed of through motions, and very often the outcome of those motions has been decided by the content of the depositions. The rest of them settle, and they settle on the basis of what happened during the depositions, at least in large part, so that the plaintiff's lawyer, the defendant's lawyer, will each be assessing how did my witnesses perform, how did the other side's witnesses perform, what is the likelihood of this, that, or the other outcome, and typically people size things up pretty much the same way, and that's why the cases settle. If you go to the 5% that go to trial, in this modern age, the very best cases are written about after the fact. You can read accounts by reporters. You can read accounts by the lawyer participants. And it is striking to me how often the lawyer who won will say that it was all the result of what happened in the depositions, and will then talk about what he did, what she did, what made the difference. And I think if you think of your own successes to date, and if you look at them in the future, I think you'll come to pretty much the same conclusion. Not that the case was over before you got to the courtroom, but that what happened in the courtroom was in large part determined by what happened during the depositions. We're going to be talking about depositions, and we're going to be using some vignettes of what happens in depositions in order to provide discussion points for the participants in the program. Keep in mind as you're watching this program that you can learn from any kind of deposition. That is, if you have a personal injury practice and the vignette is about what happens in commercial litigation, it should be easy for you, if you focus on it, to translate what you're seeing on the screen into what happens in your practice every day. And some of the largest verdicts over the last couple of decades in commercial litigation have been achieved by men and women who made their careers as personal injury trial lawyers. Our target audience for the program is lawyers in the first 5 years of practice, including lawyers who have taken very few depositions, perhaps even none. We would hope that if there are more experienced litigators, trial lawyers watching the program, that something that is said along the way will cause them to have a second thought about this or that. We can't possibly cover in the time allotted all that there is to say about deposition practice, and there are programs, quite excellent programs, available that run for days on the subject, and when you leave those programs, you still won't know the universe, though obviously you'll be on your way. The object of the program is to provide an overview of practical realities, I would say. That is, I think if you're new to this game, the question is, what's this all about? What's going to happen? What should I be doing? What is the lawyer on the other side going to be doing? And our hope is to give you some taste of what can happen, so that when you see it in practice, you'll feel more comfortable. Keep in mind that there is no one right approach to taking a deposition. It depends on the case, it depends on the witness, it depends on your personal style, and you could give two different experienced litigators, trial lawyers, the same file, the same witness, and they might do things very differently. The truth of the matter is that there are no rules, and so, as is often the case, it all depends. If I'm mistaken about that, and there is a rule, the one rule of deposition practice, I think, is think about it. Don't just do it this time because that's the way you did it the last time. Don't just do it this way this time because that's what the senior partner in your firm does as a regular matter. Step back at each step along the way and think to yourself, is this what I want to do? And then, of course, as you get into the deposition itself, it's a little bit like perhaps coming up with a game plan for a football game and getting 10 minutes into the game, and the coach may decide he's got to largely discard what he planned to do or make some significant modifications as he goes along. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, there's everything right with that. Dave?
Well, I just want to add that there is one great book on the subject of depositions. If any of these issues interest you and you have not answered all of your questions, I'd strongly encourage that you read the book on depositions by Dennis Supplet and his partner, is it Diane Donaldson?
Well, now it's Nicole Ryman and Justin Park.
Okay. And it's in its 5th edition?
It is.
And it is available and will be of assistance to give you further information about any of the techniques or legal issues that are covered in this course.
And if you want to supplement that or replace that, then there's a series of DVDs by a fellow by the name of Dave Markowitz, which is truly excellent, easily watchable while you're on the treadmill or on the bicycle, and it's just first-rate stuff.